In this lecture, we're going to talk about perfect competition in the long run. In the first perfect competition lecture, we described the characteristics of a perfectly competitive market, and we talked about the 4 short-run possible situations that a perfectly competitive firm could find itself in. And now we're going to talk about, what's going to happen in the long run, how are things going to change, and what's the equilibrium in the market going to look like. So in the long run, everything can change. That's the definition of the long run. Firms can make changes to their cost of production and to their inputs of production. And due to freedom of entry and exit into and out of the market, which is one of the basic characteristics of the perfectly competitive industry, producers can come and go as they please as conditions changed. So as cost commitments end, inefficient firms can exit the market. So as they can get out of some of those fixed cost commitments, and if they're not doing well, they can exit, no questions asked. On the other hand, if firms in the industry are making economic profits, meaning profits above and beyond a normal rate of return, additional firms are going to be drawn to enter the industry because they're going to want to come join this market where people are making all this money. Now, the firm's long-run equilibrium is going to be, and we'll show this and we'll show why this is true, is going to be where they are breaking even, where average revenue equals average total cost at their profit maximizing level of output. And this leaves no incentive for firms to enter or exit the market. Okay, so what we're saying here is, in a perfectly competitive industry, if firms are losing money, as soon as they can and as soon as it makes sense for them, they're going to get out of the industry. They're going to go do something else. And that's going to cause market supply to decrease. On the other hand, if firms are making lots of money in the industry, then that's going to attract new firms to join the industry and cause market supply to increase. So the only time there's no incentive for people to leave or enter the industry is if firms that are in the industry are all making a normal rate of return. So, this is a graph of side-by-side industry and a representative firm that's breaking even in long-run equilibrium. And we know that this firm's in long-run equilibrium because at their profit maximizing level of output, where marginal revenue, or Mr. DARP, equals marginal cost, the firm is breaking even because their average revenue, which is the same thing as marginal revenue because of Mr. DARP, equals average total cost. Now remember that the marginal cost curve intersects average total cost at average total cost base. So where marginal cost, average total cost, and Mr. DARP intersect, that's where we're going to find our profit maximizing quantity of output in long-run equilibrium for a representative perfect competition firm. One might ask why firms stay in business if they make zero economic profit. And just to review, we've talked about this a few times in class now, total costs include implicit costs from an economist perspective. So, total revenue is the money that they bring in. Total cost is their explicit and implicit costs. So therefore, even if they're making zero economic profit, we consider that to be a normal profit or a normal rate of return because all their implicit costs are accounted for. In the long-run equilibrium, perfectly competitive firms are what we call perfectly efficient, and there are 2 definitions of efficiency. The first type of efficiency that we're concerned with as economists is allocative efficiency. This is a situation in which the limited resources of a firm are allocated in accordance with the wishes of consumers. An allocatively efficient economy produces an optimal mix of commodities, and again, that optimal mix is going to be dependent on what consumers in the market wish for. So allocative efficiency will be determined by the market equilibrium quantity of the product that we're analyzing. Now, a firm is going to be allocatively efficient when its price, or demand, or average revenue, is equal to its marginal costs. And perfectly competitive firms are going to be allocatively efficient both in the short run and in the long run. And this is true because of Mr. Dart, because price is always going to be the same thing as marginal revenue in perfect competition, and perfectly competitive firms are always going to produce where MR equals MC. The second type of efficiency that economists are concerned with is called productive, or sometimes called technical efficiency. This occurs when the economy is operating at its production possibilities frontier. This takes place when production of goods is achieved at the lowest cost possible. So this has to do with efficiency of production, basically, making sure you're producing at lowest possible average total cost. So that's how we know, that's how we can see this on the graph. If a firm is producing at the base of its average total cost curve, and we know that marginal cost always intersects average total cost at its base, so if you look for that spot where average total cost and marginal cost meet one another, if that is the quantity where the firm is producing, then we know that the firm is productively or technically efficient. Now, this is not necessarily going to happen in the short run. It could, by just by random chance, but it will always be true in the long run. Let's take a look at what this looks like on the graph and how we know if firms are being allocatively and technically efficient. First, we'll look at allocative efficiency here. Remember, allocative efficiency means that the firm is producing where price equals marginal cost. Just to make this make a little more sense, marginal cost is the supply curve for the firm, as we've learned, and Mr. Darp is the demand curve for the firm. So an optimal mix of commodities is where supply equals demand, so that's what we're saying here, supply or marginal cost equals demand, which is the same thing as price, and therefore this firm is being allocatively efficient. Productive or technical efficiency is also going to occur in long-run equilibrium, which this graph is showing. And productive or technical efficiency is when the firm is producing at the base of their average total cost curve. So again, where marginal cost intersects average total cost, and that's where they're producing at their profit maximizing quantity of output here. So because this firm is breaking even, they are being technically efficient in this situation. Alright, the perfectly competitive firm's supply curve in the long run is going to look different than their supply curve in the short run. Remember, in the short run, a perfectly competitive producer may produce where they're earning profits, breaking even, or losing money, as long as they can at least cover their variable cost of production. But in the long run, the firm doesn't want to lose money. In the long run, the firm at least wants to break even or earn a normal rate of return. So the long run supply curve is going to be the marginal cost curve at and above average total cost, because then the firm is making money or breaking even. But the marginal cost curve is not going to be included or considered a part of the supply curve if it's below average total cost, because that would mean that the firm is losing money, and that's not a good situation to be in the long run. So therefore, the perfectly competitive firm's long-run supply curve is the marginal cost curve at and above average total cost. Alright, so let's look at a situation where the firm is settling into its long-run equilibrium from a short-run temporary situation. So this side-by-side set of graphs is showing us that at the market price, again set by supply and demand in the industry, at the market price, this firm is producing at their profit maximizing quantity of output, and at that profit maximizing quantity of output, this firm is earning profits because average revenue is greater than average total cost at that profit maximizing level. If this firm is earning economic profits, and this is a representative firm of many others in the industry, then this is happening across the board. So additional firms are drawn to enter the industry, which is going to increase market supply and drive the price down to the long run equilibrium. So let's watch as that occurs here. As industry supply increases, it's not just going to be a big jump from S1 to S2, but that's going to occur very slowly over time as additional firms continue to join the industry. That price is going to be driven down. Again, this is going to be a slow process, not just a jump. And supply will increase, driving that price down until it reaches the long run equilibrium point here, where the firm is breaking even at their profit maximizing quantity of output. Oops, I flipped too fast there. So here, average revenue equals average total cost, and this firm's breaking even, and there's no additional incentive for anyone else to continue to enter the industry because firms are just earning a normal rate of return. So this is the long run equilibrium. Now let's take a look at how the market adjusts if the representative firms are losing money in the short run. So here we see a situation where at the market equilibrium price, which is set by supply and demand in the industry, this representative firm is losing money at their profit maximizing level of output where MR equals MC, but they're going to continue to produce in the short run here because they can more than cover their variable costs of production, which allows them to chip away at their fixed costs. So it makes sense for them to hang on until they can get out of their fixed cost commitments. But as those fixed cost commitments end, if they're still not making money, they're going to get out. So as these cost commitments end, inefficient firms are going to exit the market, which will cause market supply or industry supply to decrease. And this is again going to happen slowly. It's not going to be a jump, although this graph makes it look like a jump, but that's all right. So industry supply is going to slowly decrease, shifting up to S2, which will drive that price up to the long run break-even situation for the firm. When this firm's breaking even, as that price is driven up to the break-even point, the firm will now be earning a normal rate of return, and there's no incentive for additional firms to enter or to exit the industry because now they are able to earn a normal rate of return. So now the firm and the industry are in long-run equilibrium. So to make a long story short, if firms are making money, industry supply will increase and drive the price down to long-run equilibrium. And if firms are losing money, the least efficient firms will exit, causing market supply to decrease, driving the price up to long-run equilibrium. So no matter what, in the long run, this long-run equilibrium position will be achieved. All the firms will be breaking even at the market equilibrium price. And if that's not happening, the market will adjust to make that happen. All right. So this is again just showing what we looked at: market supply decreasing, driving the price up, and allowing that long-run equilibrium to be achieved for the firm. Okay, so what if demand for the product increases? Because market supply is not the only thing that can change. So if demand for the product increases, you can see that market demand will shift to the right. We're going to look at the industry graph here. So as market demand for the product in the industry increases, it shifts to the right, driving the price up from $50 to $60. And that's going to cause this firm, who was breaking even, to now begin to earn profits. Now, as this firm earns profits and continues to earn profits, that's going to attract additional firms to enter the industry. And as additional firms enter the industry, market supply increases, driving the price back down, and it's going to drive back down to the long-run equilibrium, where firms are breaking even. So again, another example of the market self-adjusting. And this can work in reverse as well. If market demand shifts to the left, the market price will decrease. As price decreases, existing firms will begin losing money. Over time, as cost commitments end, the least efficient firms will exit the industry, decreasing market supply and driving market price back up to long-run equilibrium. So the bottom line is, in the long run, at market equilibrium price, firms will be breaking even. And if that's not happening, the market will self-adjust to make that happen. And that's it.